Hi guys, sometimes I think GB News is trolling its viewers, or someone within the organisation is trolling the hosts. Gerald Ratner, the businessman who famously sank his own company by delivering a speech where he called the products he sold as crap, was invited on to GB News to give his opinion on Brexit. Now, I'm not able to find any information on which way he voted, but I am inclined to think leave considering some of the language used here. But what he had to say about how Brexit is actually going is right on the money. Have a listen.
I don't think anyone knows whether Brexit is good or bad. I think it's a 10-year thing to really discover that. But I do know that in the meanwhile, we've got a hell of a lot of disruption. And the Northern Ireland thing will never, I can't see how that ever will be resolved. Brexit, the reason that people voted for Brexit, let's be honest, is one thing, is immigration. We had too much immigration. So what's happened since Brexit? We've got exactly the same immigration. We just replaced it with EU immigrants. We've replaced them with non-EU immigrants. That's the only difference.
Do you see any opportunity in Brexit? Do you look at it and go, yes, this new landscape, you're an entrepreneur, let me capitalise?
Well, no, exactly the opposite, actually. I mean, there are certain things that we're losing. Business investment, for instance, is 10% down because there's a lot of big companies take a view that we've made a big mistake.
But how do you know that that investment decline, if there is one, is directly linked or because of Brexit?
Because I think it all plays part of this scenario that Britain is going backwards. It's broken Britain. Just people take a view, business people take a view, and they say Britain has made a lot of mistakes and it's not a country that's top of our list for investment. And that wasn't the case 10 years ago. It wasn't even the case 5 years ago.
He's right. Now, there's a few things that he's wrong on, I think, excuse me, when he said that it's a 10-year thing. And nobody knows whether Brexit has been a success or a failure. That's not true. Brexit is a failure because it hasn't delivered on the promises that Brexiteers had made. Brexiteers had said that there would be sunlit uplands, that investment would flow in the day after the vote, and instead investment has declined. They said that there would be no barriers to trade. Of course, there are barriers to trade. Non-tariff barriers, but still barriers. And of course, they said that things like inflation, prices would go down because of Brexit. And prices have gone up because of Brexit, and even this week the Tories have admitted that. Now, of course, they said it in a limited and specific way, but they're still admitting it. So most of the promises made about how Brexit would benefit Britain turned out to be false. So this idea that, well, we just need to give it time, actually it's going to get worse. Because if the UK follows the Tory line of thinking of moving away from EU standards, then bureaucracy and red tape is going to increase because businesses still have to export into the single market. If there's divergence, more and more divergence, that means more and more paperwork and more cost. And if freedom of movement is not returned or something like it, it means businesses that will still struggle to find the staff they need. So they will de-invest. And how are you supposed to attract investment if you're having barriers to trade and barriers to access staff? So when he says we just need time, no, it's just going to get worse. But he is correct, as I said, about investment. Businesses are not going to invest in a place where there are barriers to trade and barriers to access staff. And, you know, when big investors don't come, small investors don't come either. So there will be investment in Britain, but I think most of it will be internal. There is an internal market, of course, that hasn't declined. That will increase because the population is increasing. But until the UK rejoins the European Union and the single market, things are just going to get worse. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.